Many in Afghanistan are living the nightmare that they have dreaded for long. Scenes of chaos and pandemonium are pouring in as the Taliban took control of the presidential palace in Kabul after President Ashraf Ghani fled the country yesterday. This even as the militants entered Kabul virtually unopposed. Ashraf Ghani, who has sought asylum in Tajikistan, said he wanted to avoid bloodshed while hundreds of Afghans, desperate to leave, flooded the Kabul International Airport. But from all the disturbing news coming in from Afghanistan, the most chilling piece of news is about the two people who tied themselves to the wheels of an aircraft flying out of Kabul, tragically falling down to their deaths. This incident is symbolic of this massive humanitarian crisis as the countries around the world scramble to rescue their diplomatic staff from Kabul. At least 5 people have already been killed amid reports of heavy gunfire at Kabul airport as thousands of Afghan citizens throng the runway in a bid to board the last few flights leaving Afghanistan. The international media reported that hundreds of Afghans invaded the airport's runways in dark, pulling luggage and jostling for a place on one of the last commercial flights to leave the country before the US forces took over the air traffic control on Sunday. Now, more than 60 Western countries, including the United States, Britain, France, and Japan, issued a joint statement saying all Afghans and international citizens who wanted to leave the country must be allowed to depart. But Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan has endorsed the Taliban takeover in Afghanistan. He said that the Afghans have broken the shackles of the slavery. Imran Khan said, when you adopt a culture from others, you believe that it is superior than yours and you end up becoming a slave to it. The Taliban on its part has said that finally the war in Afghanistan is over. The spokesperson for Taliban's political office, Mohammad Naeem, told Al Jazeera TV, "Today is a great day for the Afghan people and the Mujahideen. They have witnessed the fruits of their efforts and their sacrifices for 20 years. It took the Taliban just over a week to seize control of the country after a lightning speed that ended in Kabul as Afghan forces trained for years and equipped by the United States and others at a cost of billions of dollars melted away." Footage was broadcast of what it said were Taliban commanders in the presidential palace with dozens of armed fighters. The Taliban spokesperson said the form of the new regime in Afghanistan would be made clear soon, adding that the Taliban did not want to live in isolation and calling for peaceful international relations. He said, "We have reached what we were seeking, which is the freedom of our country and the independence of our people. We will not allow anyone to use our lands to target anyone, and we do not want to harm others." A Taliban leader told news agency Reuters that they would wait until foreign forces had left the country before creating a new governance structure. The leader, who requested anonymity, said Taliban fighters had been ordered to allow Afghans to resume daily activities and do nothing to scare the civilians. "Normal life will continue in a much better way. That's all I can say for now," he told Reuters via WhatsApp. Now the big question is, did the world and especially America see this coming? Well, going by what President Joe Biden said just a few days ago on 8th of July, the answer would be no. On that day, President Joe Biden had dismissed the speculation that Taliban could conquer Afghanistan with ease. The likelihood that there is going to be the Taliban overrunning everything and owning the whole country is highly unlikely, Joe Biden had said at the White House interaction with the journalists. But the statements of the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken paint a very different picture. Claiming success, Antony Blinken said, "On the terms that we went to Afghanistan in the first place, we have succeeded in achieving our objectives." Then on Taliban takeover, Blinken said, "The idea that the status could have been maintained by keeping our forces there, I think is simply wrong." Speaking to another TV channel, Blinken explained why it kept the minimum force in Afghanistan in recent days. To make sure that we could do this evacuation in a safe and orderly fashion, the embassy compound itself, folks are leaving there and going to airport, he said. Clearly, the US knew the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan would be swift, and this is exactly what happened. But who exactly are Taliban? The Taliban, which means students in Pashto language, have been waging an insurgency against the Western-backed government in Kabul since they were ousted from power in 2001. Emerging in 1994 as one of the several factions of civil war, Taliban gained much control of the country by 1996, and now once again they have overtaken the country. Taliban has said that they would try to convince the world that their regime would be rule-based and seek recognition from nations through dialogue. They also attempted to seek validation for their rule by declaring that they had freed Afghan people from foreign dominance. They said that now no foreign force would try to repeat the mistakes committed in the past, referring to the 1979 invasion by the USSR, which is now Russia, and 2001 invasion by the US. And the ground reality of the present day Afghanistan may be different than what you and I think. A young man that I know from Kabul who had met me in the UAE told me over WhatsApp that many are happy with the takeover, saying that finally the bloodshed will end. He added that soon Taliban will restart the city and life will get back to normal soon, with schools, airports and infrastructure up and running once again. But for now, as disturbing visuals continue to pour in from Kabul, one can only hope that the dust settles down soon and the civilians there can lead a peaceful and happy life, a basic right of existence that cannot be denied. What do you think of this latest development in Afghanistan that has hit headlines across the globe? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. You can chat with me on Instagram and on Facebook. It's @ReviewRon. Subscribe here if you find my videos worth it. But even if you don't do any of these things, thank you so much for watching this one. Please take care of yourself and those around you. Jai Hind.